You asked about the Mariners' third base situation beyond 2023, if Julio Rodriguez could win MVP next year, how we feel about J.P. Crawford moving forward, and a whole lot more. We're going to answer everything here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is Monday, November 21st, 2022. This is Ty Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you so much for making us your first listen. Subscribe, like, and turn on alerts if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform if you like what you hear. And if you want to hear from us even more, please consider signing up for our Patreon. The link, as well as our social accounts, is in the description below. It's Mailbag Monday here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. We asked our YouTube subscribers to submit some questions for today's show, and we're going to get to a few of them over the next 30 or so minutes. We may also get to any leftover questions on Thursday's episode, which we're planning on recording ahead of time tomorrow. But before we get into today's questions, Colby, we're running a little bit of a giveaway. Let's remind the folks, or anyone who's new to our show, what we got going on.
Yeah, so we're doing giveaways between now and the end of the winter meetings, which I believe end on December 8th. Basically, entry is very simple. You just need to subscribe to this channel and also follow us on our Twitter, LO_Mariners on Twitter. We've already passed 2 tiers here, so somebody's going to win a Taylor Dollard autograph card, which is right here. Nice card. Somebody's also going to win this Taylor Trammell autograph card right there. So next up, we have 2 that are kind of running simultaneously. It looks like we're probably going to hit 5,000 before the deadline, which is our next, goal to hit is 5,000 YouTube subs. If we get to 5,000 YouTube subs, we will give away this Cal Raleigh autograph card. Nice looking card. If we get to 5,000 YouTube subs and 3,000 Twitter subs, we're at $26.99 right now on Twitter as of this recording. So we're a little bit of ways there. But we'll give away this really cool Jared Kelenic autograph card. It's numbered. I think this is the coolest looking card we're giving away personally. It's a really cool looking card. So yeah, that's kind of what's up next. If you guys go crazy over the next month and add like another 2,000 subs or something like that, we'll give away this Mike Cameron autograph card. It's a really cool card as well. And hey, if you guys want to go absolutely nuts and spam us to 10,000 in the next 2 weeks, which, okay, I will unfortunately have to give away one of my prized possessions. This is a graded Logan Gilbert autograph card. Beckett graded 9.5 for condition. The autograph is a perfect 10. So that's what we're doing here. We're definitely giving away 2 cards. It looks like I'll probably have to give away the Cal Raleigh, and then we'll see on Kelenic and Cameron and all that stuff. So.
Yeah. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, Colby actually misspoke. The goal for the Kelenic card is 4,500 YouTube subscribers, which we've already surpassed, then 3,000 Twitter followers.
Yeah.
And so we are, I don't know, like 300-ish followers on Twitter away from that goal. So you can follow us on Twitter at LO_Mariners. Just head on over there, give us a follow, get us to 3,000. And then how we're picking the winners is just through our YouTube subscriber list. So all you have to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel to enter. All right. Let's get into these questions. We got about 8 of them that we're going to get into on today's show. Let's start with Brett Stout. He says, not with our roster the way it is currently constructed, but with this offseason going exactly how you want it to go, what is your ideal starting 9 lineup? Julio, Teo, and Trey Turner, top 3 in opening day lineup. So basically, like, what is our dream lineup after the end of this offseason? I think I agree with Brett that our dream lineup, if we're daring to dream here, would include Trey Turner. So how would we construct that lineup, Colby?
Turner, Julio, Teoscar, Ohtani, Judge, like
All right,
I don't know.
dream within reality, I guess. I don't know.
That's not what dreams are, though.
Yeah,
So,
that's a
I got to be honest.
contradiction in itself.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of like the dream lineup questions because I don't know. Like, do you mean like realistic? It's semantics, really, but like, yeah, Turner obviously would be great. In that situation, you don't get Wong or Torres, so they're out. So you're probably looking at something like, yeah, you're probably looking at like Julio, or Turner, Julio, Teoscar, um, probably Cal, Raleigh, Eugenio Suarez.
Cal hitting cleanup. All right, I like it.
I mean, like, where's the lefty thump going to come from?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So I don't think Scott's going to want to run 5 righties in a row. So Raleigh hitting 4, Gino 5, I guess Ty France 6.
Yeah.
And then 7 is probably Winker DHing.
Okay.
And then that would make 8 would be whoever's in right field. So
pick a guy. Pick a guy.
Yeah, I like Max Kepler personally.
Yep.
But if you want a little more upside there, then I mean, I guess the dream offseason would be Brandon Nimmo. But again, I'll just say
you're probably not getting both Trey Turner and Brandon Nimmo. Yeah.
No, I'll just say Max Kepler and then JP Crawford.
All right, yeah. That's about where I'd have it too, and for me, the other corner guy would also be Max Kepler. So we're pretty much in line there, especially like, you're going to have to balance out the lefties somehow. Scott Service is going to do that, right? He loves handedness, as we all know. So even though that he kind of deterred away from that, towards the end there, especially in the postseason. I think once we get back into the regular season, get back into the regular swing of things, it's going to be a little bit more of a balanced lineup, as balanced as he can make it.
They're always looking to add a left-handed element, so
the left-handed element. Yep, Jerry DePoto's favorite saying. All right, let's move on here to our next question. Comes from Riley, who asks. It's actually a 2-part question. The first part is: do you believe the Mariners will favor pitchers or position players during the draft, or will it be an evenish mix of both? We'll get to the second part in just a moment. So this. I mean, it's so far away. So the draft isn't until mid-July in Seattle, by the way. You can actually attend that if you want to go, if you're interested in that sort of thing.
Is that confirmed?
This upcoming summer, I believe you'll be able to attend. I mean, like, it's going to be a part of the All-Star festivities. It's been a part of the All-Star festivities for the last couple of years.
Did they do that in
LA?
LA
yeah,
last year?
Yeah, they did it in LA, and they had people there. Yeah, they had fans there.
I don't watch the draft. It's a pretty boring production. So I'm not going to lie. It's a boring production, but
I would go if I was there, though. That sounds kind of interesting.
I would too. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
To maybe just like duck my head in there for a couple hours or whatever. I might not stay for the whole thing, right? But like, yeah. So in terms of strategy,
his player comps.
Yeah, we won't go down that rabbit hole. I have some things to say about that, but I won't. I'll refrain from that. So it's too early to really say about strategy. I think the more interesting conversation to have here, though, is prep players or college players, right? Because the trend for the Mariners for a while there was college players in the early rounds, particularly college arms. And but for the last couple of years, they've bucked that trend with prep players, with Harry Ford, Cole Young. So do they continue to buck that trend? And now they're kind of starting another trend here with prep guys. How does that kind of work out? And how does the second additional first round pick basically that they got from Julio winning Rookie of the Year kind of factor into that as well? And that kind of ties into the second part of Riley's question, which is curious to see what they do with the bonus pick from Julio's Rookie of the Year. Would that extra first round pick make them more willing to sign a qualified offer free agent and lose a comp B pick? So does that really have any impact on how the Mariners approach free agency, Colby?
No. Basically, the Mariners, there's a formula that's used. You basically have to qualify for revenue sharing, but you have to have a payroll, like blah, blah, blah. Like there's a lot that goes into it. Basically, the Mariners will never give up higher than their whatever their third highest pick is. But we learned last year that comp round picks are not eligible to be taken away. So if the Mariners do get a comp round B pick again this year, which I think a lot of us are expecting, that would not be taken away. So it would be their third round pick. Because I don't believe they would punish the rookie of the year team by taking away their second round pick, because that discourages, again, that discourages calling up your rookies early and also discourages spending, which I don't think they want to do. So I believe that if they sign a qualified offer guy, it would be their third round pick. And then anybody else they sign who happens to be a qualifying offer, that would be their fourth round pick, and so on and so forth. So no, I don't think that's going to be a factor at all. Again, the Major League Baseball has, at least last year, if they went by the letter of the law, the Mariners' third pick that they should have lost for signing Robbie Ray would be the comp round B pick, but they made that pick. They took away their third round pick instead. So I can't imagine that they would count the rookie of the year bonus pick as something that could hurt
as their
the
second
team.
pick. Yeah,
Right.
as their second pick, and
It's a bonus
which
pick,
would
like
make
the
their
comp round B
second
pick.
round. Which would in turn make their second round pick their third pick. Yeah, I think it would end up still being their third round pick. That would be a question though to ask Joe Doyle. He would probably have better information on that than us. All right, so we got more questions coming up here in just a moment, but real quick, a reminder: this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by Bet Online. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball to soccer and esports. We've got it all at BetOnline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline is where the game starts. You're listening to Mailbag Monday here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you so much for making us your first listen. Our next question comes from Troy. Thoughts on JP Crawford? He was a T-Mobile favorite, but maybe had a rough year. Colby has the numbers, I'm sure, but I just always get a good vibe from him and would like to see him on the team. So Colby, what are your thoughts on JP Crawford?
I also get a good vibe from myself, and I think I would be a good fit on that team. That's how I read the question. JP Crawford's a good, not great player. He's a good, not great shortstop. He's about a league average bat. And we're at the stage now where like, that's who he is. Like, he's not going to magically get 20 home run power. He's not magically going to hit 320, 1 year. Like, that's just not going to happen. He's going to hit around 250. He's going to get on base at about a little bit above league average clip, probably around 330. And he's going to slug under 400. Like, that's just who he is. He's going to give you, above average, I would say above average shortstop defense, probably be really good at second base. That's just who he is. So there's definitely a fit for JP Crawford on this team, but he's not good enough that he prevents you from doing anything, including, by the way, if you sign like Carlos Correa and you still want to make the Colton Wong trade, you should still do that, because Colton Wong is a better, he's a better player than JP Crawford at second base, at least. So yeah, Crawford's a good player. There's definitely a role for him here. He's definitely, a guy that fits really well in the Mariners clubhouse. He's on the leadership council. I don't know if they actually have that, but he's definitely up there. He's well respected in that clubhouse. So definitely a role. It's just the Mariners aren't going to let his presence prevent them from doing anything. He's not that good, but they paid him, and he's an important player. So I'd be shocked if he wasn't, in the opening day lineup, barring health, and hopefully hitting ninth. I think that's where he belongs.
Yeah, by all accounts, great clubhouse guy, solid player who can get hot at times, especially offensively. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of inexplicable because that swing is awful still. It's terrible. It's not conducive to offensive success, but sometimes it gets streaky.
One month a year, he'll hit 350 with like a 480 slugging, and you're like, oh, is this has he broken out?
He was one of the best hitters in all of baseball in the month of April. Like, it was crazy. It was like, and then and then it completely took a nose down.
Pretty hard to get to the median. But
and then there will be moments where he hits a home run off of Justin Verlander in the playoffs, and it's like, okay, where did that come from? But
He's a good
overall, he's a good player. Great clubhouse guy, like I said. Great for the vibes and everything. Just good culture builder, all that stuff.
I would say you can win a World Series with JP Crawford in your starting lineup.
Yeah, I agree with that. Good. Yeah, he's a solid number 9 hitter with good defense. I think the defense will play up even better at second base. I mean, we got to see it. We got to see it. But yeah, like happens. If that happens,
pretty good base runner. Like not a good base stealer, despite what Dave Sims wants him to be. he's never going to steal bases, but he's a good base runner. He cuts the bases well. He runs pretty well. So, and I think it's worth noting this year he was dealing with a couple of injuries. So. That might explain a few of his struggles in the later part of the season.
Yep. Good note there. All right. Next question comes from Cody Wong, not to be confused with Colton Wong. 2024 third baseman. Is Suarez worth any kind of extension? Or are we looking at free agency? Well, Eugenio Suarez is still under control for 2024 and even 2025. He has a club option for $15 million, which if he performs the way that he did this year, $15 million for that kind of player is a steal relative to the rest of the market. So I think Gino is your third baseman of the future until he gives you a reason to say otherwise, right?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you don't want to do in a situation like this, you don't go chasing waterfalls. You just kind of want to, you don't want to advance too far ahead of where you're. Basically, trying to project more than a year out it's a fool's errand because we don't know who's going to come into the organization. We don't know who's going to break out. Could Axel Sanchez be, the opening day third baseman in 2025? Sure, it's possible, but what if the Mariners go and acquire Nolan Arenado or whatever? You know what I mean? So you don't want to think too far ahead. Basically, you want to think 1 year in advance. So right now, Eugenio Suarez, definitely the third baseman entering next year. We'll see how he does this season, and then we'll go ahead and we'll reassess next off season. You really can't think too far ahead. So don't worry about, like the Mariners don't have an in-house option at third base. Well, not yet, at least not one that we can see, but there could be one that develops. The Mariners could acquire one, or they could just, head to free agency or trade market. So don't worry about who's the third baseman in 2025 or even 2024. Worry about 2023. Eugenio Suarez is probably your guy. And just be happy with that. And then we'll reassess next year. It's the whole, like when like Baseball America tries to do the whole, like, hey, here's what the Mariners lineup will look like in 2027. And it's just a bunch of in-house guys. That's a worthless exercise because that never happens. So don't worry about it. Gino's the guy for this year. And if I had to guess, I would say probably also for 2024. That would just be my guess.
Yeah, if they land Carlos Correa this offseason, then Correa is probably that guy because everyone believes, or Xander, right? Everyone believes that Correa is eventually going to land at third base at some point in his career. And so, yeah, that's really as far as I can think right now in terms of other guys that they could potentially add that would fit in there right now. But yeah, for now. No, it's Gino. Gino's the guy, and he's giving you every reason to him for now. So, all right. We got more questions coming up, but real quick, a reminder, this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by Simply Safe Home Security. If you've thought about securing your home with home security but have been putting it off, you want to listen up. Right now, Locked On Mariners listeners can order the #1 rated Simply Safe Home Security System for 50% off. This is their biggest offer of the year, and you won't want to miss it. Here's why I love it. In an emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology exclusively from Simply Safe to capture critical evidence and verify the threat is real so you can get priority police response. Simply Safe is whole home security with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, HD security cameras for inside and out, smarter ways to detect motion that alert you only when a threat is real, and even hazard sensors that detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. 24/7 professional monitoring service costs less than $1 per day. That's less than half the price of ADT's traditional professionally installed system. With the top-rated SimpliSafe app, stay in complete control of your system anytime, anywhere, arm or disarm, unlock for a guest, access your cameras, or adjust system settings. Don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system I recommend. Get 50% off any new SimpliSafe system at simplisafe.com/LockedOnMLB today. This is their biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. That's simplisafe.com/LockedOnMLB. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. Alrighty, we've got 4 more questions left, but each of these kind of leads into the other, or at least one leads into the next one, and then we have another one that's kind of the same. So this one comes from Joe. Would you guys rather keep Jesse Winker this offseason or trade him and sign Mitch Haniger as your 4th outfielder/DH? This is assuming you pick up another outfielder like, hey, Max Kepler. So for me in this situation, I would rather just Winker. You already got him on the books. You already know what you have there, kind of. He's coming off of 2 really significant injuries. Because of the money, because of the injuries and surgeries that he's had, you're not going to get really anything for him on the market. I don't think the interest in him is going to be very, very low. And so, like, is it really worth it? Like, it's probably more worth it to you to just see what you have, see if he can actually bounce back. Because I mean, Jesse Winker before last year, pretty good hitter, pretty dang good hitter. I mean, like in 2021, he was a top 10 hitter in all of baseball by WRC plus. So if he can just give you like half of that, it's a really good player to have, even if you're just rotating him in at DH. I wouldn't consider him to be a 4th outfielder though. I'm giving him a first base glove, and he's being a first base/DH for me. He's the Carlos Santana replacement, if there is one, right? That's how I would like to view Jesse Winker at the end of this offseason, if possible. How do you feel?
So basically, basically the question is, we're going to acquire Kepler. So would you rather have Winker or Haniger?
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. First and foremost, I would just say I don't want no scrubs in the outfield. So Winker or Haniger being in the outfield, not ideal. And it's a little tough to say, you know, which side you would choose, because we don't like what does Haniger cost you to bring back, and what can you get for Jesse Winker? Those are 2 pretty big factors. Haniger's agent is making it seem like he has this big market, and maybe he does. I don't know. But you know, if a team is offering him 3 guaranteed years, then the Mariners should be completely out on that. So in that case, you're keeping Winker. So I think Winker fits on this team here's basically it, right? Like, because we're looking at these 2 guys for the same role, because for me, if you're signing Kepler, my outfield is Teoscar, Julio, and Kepler.
Yeah.
Not every day, but that's pretty much your everyday outfield. And then you rotate
That's your
the guys
regular
through
outfield.
DH. Yeah. And then you rotate them all through DH and all that stuff. So in that scenario, if it's just a DH, I would rather have Winker. I think I just trust him to stay healthy a little bit more, and I think the bat will rebound to some degree. But if the Mariners go out and they sign somebody like Masataka Yoshida, who they've apparently very interested in, and I think that is a priority of theirs, is to try and land him. Then a guy like Winker doesn't make any sense really on this roster. So, but then Tanaka's probably your DH, so neither of them makes sense. So I think Seattle is willing to go with a primary DH who can play the outfield twice a week, which I think is like their ultimate goal.
Yeah.
So I think their priority 1 is going to be Tanaka. I think their second choice. Or
Masahiro Tanaka?
Sorry. Masahiro Masataka. Yoshida. I think Yoshida is their first choice to kind of fill that role. I think Winker is actually their second because he's already here, right? And I think Haniger is like their third, and I don't know. I feel like Mitch is going to get 1 more year than the Mariners are going to be, you know, happy with. So personally, I'd probably, like, if it's just those 2 and Kepler's my other guy, I had to choose between one of those 2. Probably Winker, because I think he's likelier to be healthy, and I don't think that the small defensive upgrade you get from Haniger makes up for the huge issues you have with Haniger's health. So I would probably say Winker.
Well, and the thing too, right, is like Mitch is going to cost more money on top of the money that you might end up having to eat to trade Winker. Because like I don't know if any team is going to be willing to take on all $8 million and then actually give you something kind of interesting for him. Like that's not going. Like maybe I just I don't know.
Non-zero.
It's hard to see. It's hard to see with the surgeries and the 1 year of club control and the awful defense and all that stuff. There's just a lot that's working against you when it comes to Winker's value. But maybe I'm wrong. But but then on top of that, you got to factor in that you might have to make a multi-year commitment to Mitch in order to bring him back to Seattle, because we're seeing a lot of reports, and maybe some of this is just Mitch's agent leaking this, but we're seeing reports that the Dodgers are interested in him, that the Giants are interested in him, that the Rangers are interested in him, that the Angels are interested in him. There's a lot of teams that are in his market, and I think, I tweeted this earlier today that I think we're getting to a point now where his market is getting to a place where the Mariners just shouldn't feel comfortable going.
It's kind of interesting to me that like all those teams are West Coast or Middle America. Mm-hmm. No team in the East is interested. I don't know. It sounds like Mitch maybe wants to stay on the West Coast. So
yeah.
I think maybe this is more agent driven. I don't doubt he has other interests, but I think if he had gotten an offer that he really likes, he would have signed by now. So
sure. I just think though, like if it's going to take 3 years, and and $13 million a year,
I don't really care what the AAV is. I'm out.
Yeah. Compared to 1 year of Winker, just to take a shot on Winker, I'm taking Winker. And by the way, fourth outfielder, that guy's name is Sam Haggerty. That guy's name is Dylan Moore. That guy's name is Cade Marlowe. That guy's name is Jared Kelnick. Maybe I have other options there, and I can have Winker just be my first base / DH type. I'm just going with that. Really.
All right.
You really don't believe in Jesse Winker as a first baseman.
I don't think it's like as easy as flipping a switch. So
no, I don't think so either. But I mean, they did try it, right? Weren't there reports that like they gave him a first base glove and he was like doing it pregame?
We got to get to more questions, but like,
yeah,
if Jesse Winker's going to put as much effort into learning first base as he did into playing left field, I'd rather just have him DH. So
true. Very true. I think also, going off of that as well, like you can afford to have Winker just be the primary DH and not even really worry about him playing in the field at all. I think there's a path to doing that. Our next question also has to deal with Winker, and I think we basically already answered this, but Taylord says, Jesse, how likely do you guys think it is that Jesse Winker is on the opening day roster this season, and Winker has a major bounce back season this year? I don't know if he'll have a major bounce back. I think there's a good chance that he could have a decent bounce back and at least be a little bit, closer to average. I mean, like he was basically an average hitter this year, but most of that was just driven by walks. I think you could see more power though, him revert back to average in terms of power numbers, doubles, home runs, all that stuff. Excuse me. But I think there's a pretty good chance that he doesn't get traded this offseason again, because I really don't know what his market is going to be like. I don't know what other teams are going to be willing to offer up for him. I don't know if there's a deal where maybe the Mariners attach something to Winker, or rather Winker gets attached to a deal, that brings back something interesting. But right now, if we were just talking about him alone as a standalone, I don't really see it. I don't really see them getting anything that's useful. And I also see them probably having to chip some money in there as well.
Yeah, I just feel like I think the odds of Winker get traded are a true 50-50, and that sounds like a cop-out, but that's pretty high when you consider what, the odds of most players to be traded are. They're less than, 15%. So I think Winker's a true 50-50. We'll see what Jerry is and Justin are willing to do. The one thing we know about Jerry is, he's not too proud to beg. So if he can find a deal that he really likes, he'll take it. But if this is just about, money and not money, about culture and clubhouse fit and all that stuff, and he just wants to get rid of the player, he'll swallow that and he'll take what he can get for the player. He just did it with Kyle Lewis. It's one of those things that, Jerry's going to take the clubhouse into consideration quite a bit. And right now, Jesse Winker still fits. If they go add like Yoshida and Kepler, like we talked about a few minutes ago, he probably doesn't fit. And then at that point, it's just, okay, let's just get what we can for him.
Yeah, let's be real about it. Yoshida and Winker cannot coexist on the same roster together.
It would be very, very tough because then one of them is in your outfield every day.
Yeah.
Or on the bench.
Yeah, and you don't want that. And even though that Teoscar Hernandez is really athletic, not a good defender.
not very good at that. A lot better in left than right. And Jerry did say that they're open to, either corner. So we'll see. I don't know why he would be better in left than right. Like maybe he just sees the ball off the bat better. I don't know. Or maybe just a small sample size thing. I don't know. But
yeah. All right. Last couple questions here. Both have to deal with MVP stuff. JH Sports asks, J-Rod for 2023 MVP? Very simple, Colby. Straight to the point. What do you think?
It's a good chance. There's a good chance. He just finished 7th. Yeah. Next year, obviously now his profile is raised significantly, and you wouldn't think that matters, but it absolutely does. I think if the Mariners can, win the division, maybe, take out the Astros, I think that certainly helps. And obviously, he has to stay healthy and produce and all that stuff. Really the only question about whether or not he produces is whether or not, he can avoid the back and the wrist and all those little small injuries that kind of, knocked him out for a few weeks. And then, he probably finishes top 4 or 5 if he doesn't have that terrible April as well. So yeah, I think it's a very good bet. I'd be interested to see what the Vegas odds are right now on that, because I feel like Julio would be a nice bargain. It's always going to be tough to beat Ohtani, just because, he has that built in. He's going to be top 3 unless he gets hurt. So, but yeah, I think that's a very realistic. You never want to predict somebody's going to win the MVP because that puts a lot of pressure on the guy. But yeah, Julio can definitely win it next year. He's that type of player.
He's going to have a lot of hype preseason wise. So if you can get a bargain on him right now in the betting world, you probably should take advantage of it, because I don't think that's going to last long. Hey, there you go. But yeah, leading into spring training and into the regular season, I think we're going to see, Julio's name thrown around a lot in this conversation. You're probably going to see him on magazine covers and maybe even an MLB The Show cover. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We'll see.
Probably Judge, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But the thing, we don't know if Judge is going to stay in the AL. It's possible that he stays with the Yankees. For now, Ohtani is still in the AL. Trout's going to be in the AL. There's still a lot of really good players that he's going to be competing with, so it's not a cakewalk, but I do like his chances. I think if Julio, the big thing for Julio is really going to be, can he stay healthy this year, and can he avoid that month-long stretch of struggles that he had to start this season? And obviously he's a much different player than he was in April, so I feel good about him being able to do that part. But staying healthy is going to be key for him, because he wasn't able to. Part of that also not really his fault, right? He got hit on the wrist, all that, whatever. But the back stuff also is a little concerning. But also his first full season playing Major League Baseball, all that stuff. So yeah, we can go on and about that. But I feel good about Julio's chances for MVP. So Dorian then asked, do you think any other players on the Mariners aside from Julio can be/become MVP caliber? Colby.
No.
Not Cal Raleigh. We talked about it a little bit.
I think he could get a couple of votes, but MVP caliber versus getting a couple of votes are two completely different things, right? Most valuable player is literally the best player in your division or in your league. At least that's what it's supposed to be. Sometimes they get it wrong, but that's what it's supposed to be. Cal Raleigh is never going to be a 8-win guy, 7-win guy, 8-win guy. I think Cal Raleigh is going to be 4 or 5-win guy. He's going to get he's going to be the leader of the pitching staff and the team.
You
captain.
Hear that, big dumper? Colby doesn't believe in you. He doesn't think you can be an 8-win guy.
Hey man, maybe Cal Raleigh will creep up on me or something like that, but I really don't see.
I was waiting for it.
I really don't see I really don't see that happening. So no, Julio's the only guy unless they go out and get somebody. I suppose if they land Trey Turner, obviously he's a guy who could also do it too. But based on what I think the roster is going to look like and what it does look like right now, no, Julio's the only guy who could win that award.
Yeah, it's Julio for now. Now, if they add Trey Turner, the answer changes, because Trey Turner is definitely an MVP candidate.
Honestly, I don't think that answer changes though if they add like Correa or Bogarts. I don't think that changes.
Yeah.
Like Turner's the
I would
only
agree.
Turner and Judge, I guess, are the only two,
Right.
but like Judge isn't signing here. Just stop. Like, and you know what? Honestly, Trey Turner's not signing here either, but at least there's
He
a
just
small
doesn't
chance
wanna
Trey
get
Turner
hurt.
does. At least there's a small chance Trey Turner does sign
Okay.
here. But
All
like
right. There you go.
0% chance Aaron Judge signs here. So no.
Sure,
The answer to the question is no. It's just Julio. But I think you have like 4 or 5, maybe 6 potential all-stars already on the roster. So that's
disrespect to Sam Haggerty. Sheer disrespect. Ham Swaggerty MVP. Let's go. Cade Marlowe MVP. Let's do it. Let's ride. That's going to do it for our show.
Real quick side note here.
Yeah.
Cade Marlowe is probably the guy I'm going to watch the most in spring training. I'm just really interested to see what the Mariners think about him and all that. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I think that's it. We're good. We're good, right? No more questions?
No more questions. That's it.
All
like I
right.
said, any leftovers or any ones that come through after we record this, we might get to on Thursday show, which we're planning on recording ahead of time tomorrow. So if you do have more questions, we have a post on our YouTube page. So don't leave them below this video. If you're watching this video, don't leave them below here. We won't be checking for those in the comments here, but we have a post for mailbag questions over just on our general YouTube page. Leave them over there, and we might answer them on what is going to be our Thanksgiving show. And again, we're planning on recording that tomorrow and releasing that on Thursday, and we'll see if anything happens between now and then, any newsy stuff, but it seems like it's probably going to be quiet for a little while here. We'll see though.
Yep.
You never know with Jerry DiPoto, Justin Hollander and company. Anything can happen at any time, especially with the way that they just don't leak. Though this offseason has been weird with all the leaks, even though they're literally only coming from one person, John Morosi. So, but this has been a more
Is totally not suspicious.
Yeah, a little sus, not gonna lie. But yeah, that's gonna do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on Locked On Mariners. For Colby Patnode, I'm Ty Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. Be sure to check us out on Twitter as well on our personal accounts at Dane Gonzalez, that's DaneGNZLZ, and Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. And thank you again for making us your first listen. Now, for your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, featuring the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. It's available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts just like us. And with that, have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.